Page 278. As Ka, now turning out volumes of inward knowing, projecting of objectivity by ignoring its still at attention of indivisible subjective awareness. Supernaturally, Ariel, Ielative, denying that invisibility of any subjectivity into appearing of it out front, mesmerized inward information. Now the artist, knowing that, bites back down on his own tail. Moore laughed hard out loud, still holding the tail of him in his teeth. He saw her eye in sight of him. Hermias thoughts of appearing and gazing it out, here in her eye of Ivre body. The joke as on in you or a wire you, your eye merely appearing and gazing it out in words, now appearing out in formation of it, Christina offered with a wink. The transmission of now as Ka now, turning knowing out of it, is in any plain sight. In any plain sight. A being seen supernaturally transmitted, asking of it why by now, as Ka now turning it out in word information, in any predominant plain sight, by being seen, y'all, insight here, out in her eye, asking of it why or why now you now, a scant, scrawny star, thinking of it, why ask cosmic memory of a being merely mirrored. A being seen there is anybody supersonically, y'all, superimposed out in word, y'all, as appearing, opening mouth in speech. A being any image imagined in word as sound means of it supersonically or phonographically speaking. Pharaoh Amenhotep IV filled the bill of having realized that, in plain sight, in a wide eye of Aten, a being now at attention, as king of it, why, as Ka now, knowing out of it, a binary, a pairing of it a while, still indivisible in the first place. Pharaoh is Paruma, a first place, a field of you still awareness of it, a where now to be, a being seen still indivisible invisibility of it. Ariality, a reality, as king of it, why, any appearance of it by a Narai, a denial of it by now, turning out, ask knowing it, projecting, a being seen still in the first place, indivisible, invisibility of it out, mirrored in word phonographically for the first time now, ABC's information. As any inward thoughts of it being seen, appearing and gazing it now, superimposed, as zany or ivre body, ABC's informas, y'all time now, mere awareness of appearing and gazing it out in a memory of thoughts. Thoughts, a God literally, an eye stare-eyeing from above as below. Christina gave more that piercing stare of a sublime transmission of an ancient superonic awareness, of a being seen through its transmission by his father, Pharaoh Amenhotep III, transmission of a being seen at attention in the culture, the cult URI of Aten, of it attention of any or ivre body. More now viscerally felt in his gut a microwave spiraling an ancient cultivation of awareness of a being still in the first place. A paruma, a now at attention, ion aska now, knowing, turning it out of it, a denial of it, a wheel of we all, as cause, spiraling into or out of a by now DNA, denies as now yi radiating a 10 in toward a 0, a twisting into an 8, appearing of it, a being seen appearing, a gazing it, now out asking of it why, as knowing, turning, denial out into a now why, appearing of it by now, ri as mirroring it supernaturally as any thoughts of it in word memory. In any man's mind or why, y'all supernaturally as any thoughts of a being still in the first place, that indivisible invisibility at attention of any individual. Pharaoh now paruma, a in first place being seen of it, a arealized of a being seen now as though out of a being seen in the first place. In words, any information as cause of it. A yi appearing, gazing it out now as ka, knowing, turning into or out of it. Asking of it y a la queen, ka and k of that in which appearing information of it. In a yi ask a knowing, a denial of it out in her me as thoughts of it supersonically or phonographically, anybody appearing inward at attention of it out in her eyes of everybody. Here out in a her eye, beside tower of beside whole black power, a being lack appearing as a gain. More found the asking of it why a la queen, k and k, of that in which appears any thinking of it, etc. Still asking of it why. Adam and Eve of the painting, the painting of it black around the corner house. That's how y'all picked up on why speak at Egypt. Egypta. Plain pain attention, the paruma vision of a yi being seen still in the first place. Paruma aten, more saw in a by us now ri appearing out now as x exodus. As x editing, duplicating out here in her eye of everybody. As carving of it a black around echo in toward a twisting into formation of it appearing in mem or why. He felt his Egyptian memory dishing out supersonically Ariel of a being a 10, a binary by now or I, opening, awakening, a with Akin still in the first place. A yi being still in the first place now, appearing it, a gazing it out of it, mirrored supernaturally as thoughts of appearing out in word information. Asking of it why, yi being seen in paruma, a being seen still in the first place. Appearing and gazing it out now, turning black around as cause of indivisible attention, a pairing merely supernaturally as any inward thoughts of it appearing in formation. A yi still at attention, he blinked, his thought preoccupied with inward memory of it, still in the Pasai hole, more mused with a laugh. a preoccupation with any palpitation, a being seen inward out information now while why I being seen eyeing it, captivated supernaturally as thoughts of it, heard me as thoughts of it, invisibility now, information of any knowing it turning a projection of denial out in cosmic memory, asking of it why, a hookah de luca, information of any situation, a being seen information of any inward formation of y'all, why I paying attention, captivated with inward, status quo, state in which a being seen, still freestanding state status of a her, him, it, of a I, appearing and gazing it out as X, O does. Wave as existing information in her eyes as of everybody. Appearing it, gazing it out now as cow, knowing in toward a twisting into away why I appearing and gazing it out, appearing into a being seen supernaturally, supersonically superimposed as by any thoughts of it appearing inward information. Appearance of the indivisible, invisibility at attention of now as ka turning, knowing denial of it at then appearing in me or you as causally y'all inc, cosmic memory, intelligence, consciousness, he thought. That is a being now as thoughts, beaming, BMing a binary, arcing of the sacred covenant of Yad-He-Vav-He. Christina continued. The tetragram otten, four-letter otten as a binary. A being appearing often of 10 binary as radiating now out of it as ka, knowing of turning into or out of anybody or any thinking of it. That by now a being why nari of a mare go round, a baby. A by there is a being often of 10 appearing of it out in a binary in any plain sight. At attention of plain sight refracting inward as X, planing of it. A being seen now at attention intentionally, knowing ignorance of it still indivisible, he replied. Laughter rolled out from Moore's belly. A being inside of her eye instilled a vigorous laughter state, reminding him of trips on psilocybin. Orgasmic rushes in his brain seemed to be producing psychoactive chemicals. Ride the rush often, he flashed. Page 280. Pharaoh Amenhotep IV, now Akhenaten, had himself imagined in 3D sculpture as a god. Imagine you have asked king of it, y'all, as cosmic insight. Found yourself understanding, overstanding. Finding that while coming into the divine rulership of the known Western world, he realized now still indivisible invisibility, ABCs of a being seen as pure power, inward information. As king of it, why now, as Ka, knowing appearing of a heretic mystic. Source or I of a being seen in the first place, now out. Ablack around echoing any inward information as Ka, knowing of it. As being seen of that appearing supernaturally, y'all, out of it by attention. attention, captivated as the thoughts of it appearing out in word, by means of a phonographic alphabet. Indivisible invisibility of a being seen appearing, ABCs superimposed supernaturally, all in word as thoughts of it. A great God, essay to be literally, y'all, art being seen in word information. In any beginning is the word more realized. Any appearing of it, information still, indivisible invisibility of a being seen in the first place. Ask King of it why, a la Queen K of that in which appearing any time now. Ask Ha, knowing out of it, any thinking of it anywhere, etc. A being seen supernaturally is any thoughts of her, me as it, appearing and gazing it out of her eyes of everybody. At attention of our eye, means of it being seen, meaningful, indivisible invisibility. A supersonic boom-az, still now asking of it why, knowing out in word a plan, ex edding hearth, echoing out, lasting a long while. Christina continued. Still 3,300 plus years later, asking of it why I being seen in word, awakening aten? 'Tis a hookah de luka de buka. Still asking of it a why I being seen at any plain sight. More fully discern that, asking of it why now, ask Ka, knowing out of it, any thin king of a denial on it. Perhaps y'all things considered the most powerful individual influence of y'all time, Christina added. A being seen still in the first place, a being seen hidden centuries, knowing it out in plain sight of any or every body, in toward a twisting denial of it out information, a now as Ka now, no knowing out of it, y'all, along, indivisible invisibility of any individual appearing and gazing it out of a while, still in the first place, at attention in a paruma, informaz a first time, now asking of it why, ask Ka, now knowing, a la K and K, Queen K, of that in which appears here in her eyes of everybody. Awaken aten, awaken at attention. A ringing silence enveloped the room, captivating attention in supersonic vibrations, echoing that. Perceived our king, asking of it why, a cosmic black around, echoing invisibility of painting, as harmonic painting waves, funny action information appearing, disappearing in disinformation, right before her hymned eyes of any or everybody now, knowing a denial on it. A why being seen in the first place, appearing and gazing it out now, still anybody appearing out of it inward, asking of it why, a knowing supersonic boom. Capturing attention, reverberating in word, at a lack around, echoing, asking of it why now, a knowing it out in toward a twisting into a pairing denial of it, superimposed at least 3,300 plus years. A mirrored 3,300 plus supersonic, a why ears are hearing it, echoing a black around complete darkness encirclement of it. In any beginning is a why being seen in the first place now, appearing and gazing it out as sword, cutting you all up and out. Supernaturally, y'all, as thoughts of it, now asking of it why a division, by no knowing the indivisible. Pay attention, brother man. Pay to play. Another race channel for we all perpetuating a turning wheel at lag around that ancient cult of Aten Aryan warrior priests. As descendants of a Vedic Atman, our eye at attention, Atmas appearing and gazing it, by now ask God, knowing that indivisible invisibility as a being seen in our eye, all out in toward a twisting in two appearing information of a denial of it. Egypt had been steadily infiltrated over hundreds of years prior to the time of Akhenaten by an unbroken lineage of these warrior priests of Atman. Enlightened conquerors, they were a force to be reckoned with. They were monotheists by lineage. It is in that immortal Vedic oral lineage that I am initiated. A tradition of a being naive, everybody seen out in a word as any per sonic sound wave, I means of y'all, a meaningful understanding, the free overstanding of it. Anybody hearing of it in our eyes means still indivisible invisibility. Language in our eye then stayed purely phonetic. Now, with the invention of a phonographic alphabet, a meanwhile of it appears in sight. Any seer appearing it out in word informs it supernaturally in a beside to whole power of imagination. Imagining ABCs out. In word, a being seen still in the first place, indivisible invisibility. Now, ask God now, knowing out of appearing and gazing it in toward a twisting denial, in two it appearing, a while as a feeling emotion, at attention in a binary, biocellular chemical neuronic muscle blood bone field of view. Of you primarily being seen now, asking of it why, ask God now, knowing it out, inward information of a cosmic memory, intelligence, consciousness. A why appearing and gazing it out, a wily while, a deadly duplicity of it appearing with incas drawn on papyrus, pen as sword to divide and conquer, appearing and gazing it out in word now, asking of it why, a twisting into appearing in cosmic memory, a why being sacred awareness now, asking of it as zany supersonic sound waves echoing ablack around out in here her eye, a black eye of everybody asking of it to be a gain. Still silent, indivisible invisibility of a being seen appearing and gazing it out in sound, healthy waves in toward a perception of it now, magically, y'all, appearing a while as sex, y'all. Asking of it why now, knowing any unknown, black around echo of it, we all turning in a wheel race channel of man's mind, or memory in 3D, spoken in word, ideating, perceiving from a pivot power of a being seen still in the first place now, beside power in her, beside I whole evil, as cause microwave lack around echoing wheel of we all a will to be a gain, insight of it out in her eyes of everybody. Invention of a phonographic alpha beta, insight of a material duplicity, of a being seen with ink as mirroring, asking of it why appearing of the indivisible. Now out as any thoughts of writing a being seen letterly, y'all, ABC's information on papyrus. In that I am finding confirmation of Amenhotep the Fourth's insight of that, a being seen Page 282. A being seen in our reality. Our reality, asking of it why a being seen merely appearing and gazing it out in word now, as ka now, knowing turning out into information appearing of it, a yi insight. A being seen of a yi insight of that indivisible invisibility of it. A word-free, immortal, untouched awareness now, supersonically a being seen as zany individual, perceived out in word. A parama brahma, paramount of a being seen in plain everyday sight, inside of the why of anybody, or out here in her eyes of everybody. A being in the first place, now out of it in a radiant radiation of first supersonic abstract principle of a singular indivisible invisibility. Are y'all of that point of view of you? Are you with me? Y'all do a bunch of respirating, ray as breath equated with prana, the divine synapse fire, when y'all speak. Why, or y'all now turning around, knowing it out of it as any thinking of it in plain sight. Slipping off the robe, Christina walked over to stretch out on the high chair. Static sparks came off hands, sliding over nylon stocking legs. In that I am feeling my attention as expand, breathing it, feeling it now. You got me at attention anytime now, baby. Ba being why. He gave deadpan to mask the energy jetting his spine. If you ain't got nothing, you got nothing. Cerebral spinal fluid rushing his heart brain activated his pinecone gland to upgraded metabolites he recognized as psychedelic. This could be DMT, but unlike the synthetics he'd experienced, his pinecone emitted full spectrum. He thought for a moment of directing the healing out to his extremities, but his heart brain surged with a life force of its own. He flashed as it flashed and cashed him. Exactly. You are a main man as zany mirrored thoughts of you now as X, acting the part of anybody in a mirror duplicity of it. Okay, so importance of talking about far and away the most powerful supersonic person, man, or a YI being seen on the planet. Still about the A. A being still in the first place. A-Y-I connection. Now a long while still asking of it why. Awaking at attention of the first individual, still in the first place, indivisible invisibility. The first place of the first individual, still in the first place. A YI of a being seen appearing and gazing it out, or of it, a now immortality. As king of it, why, as cosmic cause, a Y, a key, I to the literal code. The whole shebang has been buried, hidden, ignored in plain sight of anybody knowing it. Ask knowing it out in denial of it. More found attention moving into the drawers of paint, igniting and ignoring inward ignorance of it now, asking of it why, drawing on the word-free, untouched right side of the brain. He found himself that silence of a seer merely appearing, a gazing it, or now it, at it, as a color spectrum, Opening drawers, he began selecting tubes to be laid out on top of the taboret. Christina settled into a pose with breast bared. Here, out in her eyes, he felt subliminal waves transmitting a knowing out of it, a being seen ABC's inward information all along. In sight of anybody seeing out now, SK now knowing of it, any meager thinking of it, why, in toward a twisting denial informing it. A wheel of we all turning as cosmic microwave black around echo of it into anybody, any thinking of it, etc., etc., etc. Still merely appearing and gazing it. A being seen still indivisible invisibility in any plain sight, invisibility of appearing, gazing it out, into now turning into a zany knowing out, appearing of it. A zany inward informing of it, supernaturally, supersonically, superimposed, zany thoughts of a god essay. To be letterly in toward a twisting into informing anybody, etc. Appearing in denial. A will wave of my zapping y'all as super carrying waved the nature of it. Hermes thoughts are I minder of a why of a being seen appearing and gazing it still often of ten a I at attention or denial of it at attention. A binary of anybody appearing out as existing supernaturally, supersonically, superimposed, merely a being out as king of it, why inward thoughts, mirroring mind, or memory of awareness of a why I merely appearing, gazing it, or it at it. A being seen now, a wise domus, a being in the first place, a whole indivisible point of view, at attention of you, of a why I that I am is indivisible invisibility of anybody, any scant, thin king of it, anywhere, etc., etc., etc. Finally, his attention came to rest on breasts. Moore's ma never gave him the breast. Naive. Then he could not imagine the sheer terror of looking into those mad eyes while suckling her milk. He now found, like many of his bottle-fed generation, a breast fetish. Christina smiled, slyly reading his thoughts. Now and forever for Ma's Ivre body, he mused. Our eye body arrayed over centuries in a while of the plan at here supersonically appearing out in her eyes in many, many, many Ma's ways of evil. A will here in her eye wave function of funny action. Ma's tricky business, appearing, disappearing. In that awareness of a being seen still in the first place, still. She not funny that way, as that wave ray body, as comic memory, intelligence, consciousness of a being seen as calming at black around echoing incomplete loopy rolls of the arcing of anybody, yes, say to be with inward intent of a being often, of ten anybody. Uncapping some paint, Moore began taking whiffs of various colors. Anybody is a being seen in her eyes of everybody a while now. A meanwhile awareness of anybody of a being seen still in the first place. Pretty trippy, he flashed. All right, all arrayed in any plain sight in order to function in that sensory way of Eve. Y'all senses learned in word. Moore found his hands squeezing tubes of the paint in an array of color following a rainbow spectrum. These he mixed rapidly in the center of the palette or directly on the fresh canvas. Working with knife and brush, he began carving out color as form as in her real body. A body of a dancer or a runner, muscled, still plenty limber. He let his eye do the work of hands following. He had a fresh tabouret of paint and little time for beating it around any bush, he mused, while hands loaded color. Pigment worms turning, churning, burning, fired up, muted down, a sheer function of it. A hand following eye by being seen mirrored in word memory. Appearing, gazing it now, turning a black round echo of it into appearing by Aska now, knowing it out in word, in a wily while of funny action, in waves, here in her eye of everybody, ideating, perceiving a black round echoing indivisible invisibility, appearing supernaturally, y'all, as thoughts of it in memory. Once Pharaoh Amenhotep IV fully awakened awareness of a being at attention, he instantly became it, assumed the name of it, Akhenaten. I am Aten. Eye of eyes at attention of a memory, a being seen by now as Ka now, knowing, turning it out in toward a twisting of it in two, appearing in formation. A spiral echoing at background of it as cosmic memory. Once aware of awareness of it here, out in any eye, merely appearing and gazing it, Akhenaten picked up on a being seen, indivisible invisibility. Page 284. Akhenaten grasped the power of phonographic memory of that indivisible invisibility of a being seen, now out in word, spelling any appearing of it. Appearing supernaturally as any thoughts, informas, appearing out in asking of it why now, a knowing out, cosmic memory and denial of it. It mirrored in any form, formas the nature of it here, out in her eye, a while the nature of denial in now asking of it why, as ka, no knowing, turning out of it any appearance of it in a while, a meanwhile, a cunning, now as cause, as ka, now knowing, deceitful craft, carrying away any man as mind or why at attention of a being seen as Zex. With the mention of it as X, she now flexed a back, pushing breast forward. Nipples stood erect in the chill of the warehouse. She continued, Akhenaten as king of it, why, now as any knowing out of it a being seen in a phonographic alphabet of it, precipitated an inward exodus of a being still in the first place, at attention now, captivated, as any thoughts of it in agreement or covenant with a God, essay to be out appearing in form inward, now as X adding duplicating in the words of a being seen still in the first place indivisible invisibility, now appearing out supersonically, y'all, superimposed phonographically in memory as zany inward informing of it, still in motion a while of it, Akhenaten picking up on a being seen indivisible invisibility in the first place of a first time cultivated a cult of any individual as difficult, as differing in toward a twisting in toward denial, capturing attention merely mirrored as any inward thoughts of it. Pharaoh Akhenaten realized, y'all, any worship is a wordship, crafty craft of it being seen as king of it, why appearing information by mirrored supernatural RI flexion. All of a YI being seen appearing it out inward as thoughts of it information, a being of its still indivisible invisibility of any appearance. Indivisible then, indivisible even Eve now, Eve ray I body, no knowing out of it into any appearing in memory of me or you. Any apparent inward information is a denial of it, a knowing out of it. Any why I being seen, I of everybody merely appearing it. It still indivisible invisibility. Christina continued, hence the second biblical commandment against worshiping, wordshipping any inward idol information of it. Twisting, appearing, and gazing it out now, in toward appearing of it, every I thinking of it as a knowing out of it, is a perceived arcing, a black around echoing A, B, C as a gain. A black echoing a gain. A gain any day into why light igniting ignorance of it, ignoring it, knowing into appearing a while, a cunning, murderous duplicity of a being seen, going, gaining, appearance out inward now as ka now, knowing out of it information. Thus, we all in turn have been duped into believing our own duplicity. Our appearing it in toward a twisting in two of it supersonically mirrored as cosmic black mirror sees, a ray reflecting it into appearing out information as any thinking of it or anybody. Indivisible invisibility now as king of it, why I as ka now, knowing, turning a being seen out in word information. A while, a why will DNA that you are I, being seen any in a why aten, a or 10. A being seen out by now, as ka knowing, turning no knowing out of it, a now why body. A not why being seen in that, a why I in the first place merely appearing and gazing it out as X. As existing information. At once as king of it a why, ABC, and appearing in a while, yet above and beyond the mirror he still turned a black. Supernaturally as any thoughts of Amenhotep IV as king of it, why? A why I of a being seen, appearing and gazing it in a paruma, Akhenaten turned a black around, asking now out of it a why I, knowing the canoe supersonic language, wordship craft of a being seen as Exodus. Exodus. A waves X now knowing out of the first place merely as any denial of it. She now offered, Christina now stretching fingers to toes. Still sailing in that wordship craft of a being seen of Pharaoh Akhenaten appearing and gazing it out inward information. More flashed on the silhouette of him or a being seen merely appearing it. A now appearing of it as the supernatural supersonic craft of any inward information of it superimposed as a being seen as zany thinking of it in her evil eye of everybody, out in her eye a wave will. A will of we all turning at being a black around into or out of a being seen again, asking of it why, a la queen, K of that in which, a why or I ton. By now our eyes, being still in the first place, merely appearing and gazing it out now, appearing inward informing of it. A sailing a while in that function of a cunning craft, of a why I, of a being seen appearing it out inward now asking of it why, a knowing denial as X out toward a twisting and two, a Y as existing in any information of it supernaturally, supersonically superimposes any thoughts of it as a God, S.A. to be literally, an art of a being seen now, as Ka now, knowing, turning out a wily while, appearing, a gazing it out in toward a twisting of it, as any thoughts of turning in two or out of any inward captivity of it at attention, here, out in her eye of every body. Attention now seemed as though to shift from an imaginary point appearing before his eyes into merging within a singular point of view of it. Then it, a eye of view, went black. From a being seen in sight to a black psi whole power, indivisible invisibility instilled with a true a black power of intent to be a gain of it, power of a while of denial. A pow, power of a while in toward a twisting in two of it. A I merely appearing and gazing it into it now as X y'all in a denial, appearing of it information. She not funny that way, that wave. Here out in her eyes, it keeps rolling at black around, echoing in the Pasai hole like key of a dark moor. Awakened now, knowing Aten, aware now to be a I that I am is at attention. Indivisible invisibility now turning, mere appearing, gazing it into appearing, mirrored inward memory. A being seen now out of it as Ka now knowing a blackness. A I complete, be now knowing being lackness. Now, as Ka now turning black, lack with intent, knowing lack with intent to be a gain, to be a gain. Moore found himself adrift on a churning sea of color, taking it to the line of a sea of mud, carving it black on purpose of it now, that electromagnetic field of view as awareness, in her him its eyes, a wave of any or everybody, as something in the paint, Moore wondered, a certain magnetism in the heavy metal cadmium and cobalt pigment, an electrical color fire ground into oil, viscerally feeling the field of paint now, a knowing painting of it, a tinnitus in a hearing now ringing, a high pitch that seemed to swell then fade like waves lapping the shore of his cranium. Moore loved offsetting color with black Frohofgeres brush hair veins, caught lightly, dragging a number 14 hog bristle brush over the texture of knife and brush, spreading pigment in a cobalt, cadmium, cerulean as whirl. She now emerged from an instrumental body of multi-hued luminescence, dancing off a patterned contour of muscle, blood, and bone, appearing here out in her eye of Margot Christina as X, y'all. A being lack, an essay now to be a gain. Blackness asking of it why now as a darkness, to be more aware, a being complete, perceived encirclement of any or everybody in a roll, a yelly jelly roll, a loopy quantum gravity loop of our eye turning, Lacaron echoing, instilling. Page 286. Instilling intent to appear again, 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 and again. Our ray turning completely at black around a polarity, a positive intentional negativity, intention of why now negating a being seen still in the first place indivisible, a being complete. Our loop without any endings to begin a polarity of it, now to be de-arcing of a perception, a complete de-arcness. He's shaking it out, a mere mirrored observer, observing here out in her eye a feeling field of Hermias thoughts, of it appearing information, a pairing of a science, polarity in the or why of any mem or why. Observation. Oh boy. A why-eye appearing and gazing it towards, projecting. A boosting now of that awareness of it being seen out as knowing out of it that. That I of I am is a singular one. Oh, singularity. Oh, key 15 in ABC code. The devil. A devil in her evil eye, here out of everybody as painting. A will of we all, a wheel turning over eye, a why eye turning, a black around complete, the darkness not to be perceived, a being seen out in word formation of a captivity, of attention paid to merely play out in words a while, a meanwhile as X. More now found himself a why-eye being seen mirrored as X, an X, edding X hodos, a way of X, a unknown as king of it, why now free, in a word freedom awareness of it. Freedom now, in a word freedom forever. Drawing on the word free right side of the brain, free untouched awareness of ABCs, etc. He grinned. Words melted, black as sounds, into one silence. Of it here, out in her evil eye of any or everybody. That black mirror see as body, a mercy body, our eye reflecting denial in the twilight. Indivisible invisibility now here, out in her eyes, informas the nature of everybody appearing, a gazing it out, in toward a twisting into appearing, a painting, a ping-ting echoing of it, a being seen merely appearing and gazing it out in word, informing, appearing in memory as anybody information. In word, supersonic sound waves informing it supernaturally as thoughts of asking of it why now, ask now, no, knowing out of paruma. A why-eye being seen still appearing and gazing it out now inward as now knowing, turning out denial into appearing to be anybody, anywhere, anytime, more mused, laughing out loud. Pharaoh took the name Akhenaten in order to be called a divine inward mirror reference of that awareness in a why-eye of a being seen in appearing and gazing it. Now as king of it, why as knowing in toward a twisting in two denial of it why out as X. A kano and a pairing of it supersonically in word information at attention, still indivisible in the first place. Now akit aten. A yi and a binary duplication of it now, knowing appearing disappearing in words of ABCs. The newly invented ABCs facilitated any appearance of it in a yi merely appearing and gazing it out phonographically in word on papyrus, or supernaturally, supersonically as ka, knowing, turning it out as any thoughts of it. Akit aten, a first place of ABCs, of a being seen now supernaturally as thoughts of a goddess, a to be letterly, y'all, mirrored out, asking of it why now in word, as knowing of it into appearing in formation. I all a spiraling at lack around of it at attention still in the first place, indivisible invisibility. A by now, a by now, arrayed out into anyone asking of it why now, appearing at attention in his presence. Anyone now awakening, knowing a being, seen out in word information as thoughts of a singular God, I say to be letterly, y'all, in word, appearing letterly, y'all, within Kaz on papyrus as in any beginning of it merely in word, now to be as Ka, now out, a parting of the red seeing of it in Kaz on papyrus. The emperor now asking of it why, knowing out of it in sight, still a naked, singular, unique point of view of that seer, now never seen, naive, merely awareness of a yi appearing and gazing it now, supernaturally, all appearing, information of it in any word as any thoughts, of informing it at attention as any mirrored intent. Remember, Pharaoh had the power to turn the world at black around by breaking up and abandoning the idols of his father. Now his inward imaginary thoughts of a singular God, I say to be letterly, informing a new world craft of Akhenaten. A wordship in the first place, a wary all the sounds of the languages of the all-known world, transposed out of it supersonically or phonographically, ABCs of a being seen still in the first place, yet today still, as king of a Y, that order of the alphabet continues 3,300 plus years, years later, El Ator, with a being seen still in the first place. In Akhenaten, theirs would be a world free of any idols information beyond a wave function at attention here out in her eye of evil. A eye of Eve will to appear in word within Kaz, duplicating a duplicity of it by any appearing and gazing it at it. Under that spell, understanding the spelling of it in word, as X setting of it. It why asking of it why now as X. An exodus into a landing, duplicating out of it merely, appearing out information, appearing as any thoughts of a singular God, as say to be literally all asking of it why as a known denial, turning out in toward a twisting into a mere appearing and gazing it into any appearing out information. You now a being seen appearing and gazing it out, knowing of it in toward a twisting into information of anybody or any chintzy, thin king of it, etc., etc. Here out in her eyes, merely appearing it, gazing it out in denial of indivisible invisibility. Now appearing, a memory, a man, mind, or why of any or everybody. His is a worship craft of duplicity of a supernatural singular God. A goddess say to be, literally, y'all, still above or beyond any inward perceived national borders. Supersonic, supernatural, silent con, a consciousness, as zany thoughts of a goddess reintroduced by a tribe of invading warrior priests, sharing a full awareness of a being seen still at unique point of view of you or me now, a con as con now, knowing, a zany appearing of it. She now any a now why or everybody awareness of any or everybody of a being seen at attention of that unique you need now that's you asking of it why alaka and k queen that in which appearing by now as God knowing it out as zany thoughts of it in denial of it. Together they led as y'all, an exodus inward information of ABCs of a being seen still in the first place, indivisible invisibility, now as X. A black around echoing supersonic body, a zany or Eve-ray body, a silent, whole, complete word-free, indivisible invisibility of black body instilled, instigating intent in ABCs of a being seen to perceive a gain. A being seen to think, to wish, to desire a being gaining of it. In the beginning is the Word. And inward our reality asking of it why, now created by a phonographic language literally, all coded with revelation set, with now a time release. All right, now temporarily occupied, paying attention, merely appearing and gazing in toward a twisting, like around into or out of, appearing out information, appearing of it in memory of me or you, as Exodus. ABC's wave out of a being seen still in the first place, indivisible invisibility, now appearing mirrored as a her, me, as thoughts of it. That's a hookah, the Luca. Page 288. Chains of it in toward thoughts of a God, essay to be literally, y'all, informing it. Sorry to interrupt, y'all. Moore's memory erupted, just as flashing on a 3,300 plus year old global vision as exodus of man's mind or memory into any inward captivity. Exodus out of a being seen still in the first place, indivisible invisibility. Now as zany supernatural thoughts of it appearing as cosmic mirrored painting memory bind, echoing a black around or a y-eye of a being seen as king of it, a la queen, that in which anybody, etc., appears here out in her eye of everybody, being lack, instilled with inward intent in ABCs of a being seen again. Out of it at attention, captivated a while, inward information. A way of a being seen appearing and gazing it out in toward a twisting into a by now falling under that spell, any understanding of any spelling of it at attention caught in word captivity. A capturing of it in toward a twisting into information of me or you in memory, supernatural captivity as any thoughts of a God, as to be literally, in words, anybody, etc. Still in plain, ordinary sight, a being seen merely appearing, a gazing it in the first place. as king of it. Why y'all set my people free? Set my eye in toward a mind free from now as God now churning, knowing out of denial of it. Still a freestanding eye of a hermit with a polarity on the one hand, appearing and gazing it from above as below. DNA, twilight on the other, flashing on yod of a God in word as the code of ABCs. Deny why, daylight of our only sun, on the Horoscion, the why now day, ignition of imaginary lion between man as mind or a why, merely appearing to gaze it in the first place, or a positive negation of it as any polarity on the other one hand of a hermit. Herme as any thoughts of it in me or you a memory. It's been said it commands us, yet is at our command. As king of it a why. Set in my memory our people free. Freed in a word, freedom awareness at last, still. A being seen merely appearing and gazing at last in the first place. Indivisible invisibility of anybody. A why in I on that I am is. More shrug. He figured it didn't hurt to ask. Ask king of it, why any chintzy, chiseling, thin king of it, in any name alone, yad hey, I hey, appearing it from above as below of a being still in the first place, indivisible invisibility, y'all hey, eva hey, boom boom, baby cakes. Time now a black round body echoing as ka now knowing, turning out of it then the na fair walking not and creating out of whole cloth a new city of a new phonographic portable language based on ABCs of a being seen in sight of it, out of it with ink as appearing letterly y'all in 22 glyphs on rolls of papyrus. Christina continued. A city of towers of a bobbing L function of now yet. As king of it why knowing out toward any twisting into appearing of its supernatural, supersonically all superimposed in toward information of indivisible invisibility of any individual seer. A seer in any or every ordinary sight of a being seen merely appearing it out now, are ideating, perceiving it by any mere reading of it. Ask knowing it out in word, in sight. A reading of it, a reality, asking of it why are I otten. Reality, a reality, asking it why, being seen now in toward a twisting into a black around echoing of it at attention. Now, a meanwhile, out in a portable supersonic or phonographic alpha beta. Meaningful, letterly, all inward for my sound ways or means of consciousness. Un hombre de conocimiento. A man is mind of a consciousness a la queen K. A why, I of that in which appearing it appears to be it. A con, baby. A hard con of matrix. Out here in her eyes, a tricky, a while of it now transportable inward supersonically in oral tradition Vedically, but more importantly, in now in knowing it out phonographically. With Inca's cosmic memory scripting of ABCs still in the first place. A YI of a being seen now as Exodus, us, out of it in word. Escribere, a writing or reading wave out phonographically in word means of me or you appearing in memory. In a writing designed in formas mass consumption beyond notional national borders or any sense of time now beyond turning a page. Yet still a black round body of a space in time now as knowing, turning out of it as any mere mirage age. The imaginary line between a man's mind or a why eye of a being seen merely appearing and gazing it still. They, the why, sent a time now as king of it why, a knowing out of it a bomb. A bomb of liberation in a word freedom awareness of any potential inward captivity by anyone merely realizing a being seen in any sight or reading of a ariatin. A being seen at attention of anybody, reading of it in a why-I dialectic debate. A debate between a why-I merely appearing it, gazing it, or a wordship craft, appearing of it, carrying attention wave, a carrying carrier wave of it. Ironically, it seems the digital age literally sets off that a bomb ignited by why that of I am speaking of it in the first place. A bomb blowing the mind of any reader realizing or realizing a being seen merely appearing and gazing it at these words, information of it, appearing it, gazing it out literally now as existing information in word of it, yet still as king of it, why any knowing out of it as otherwise in the first place, other eyes, still a singular indivisible point of view of you, a why eye appearing and gazing it in visibility in the first place. More felt the supersonic convolutions of a why-I dialectic as expressed with the gravity weight of her vocal cords. The waiting on it now. It moved him in waves in toward a twisting information of a denial of indivisible invisibility. A positive wave asking of it why now a negativity. A now why a la queen K of that in which appears out information of appearing and gazing it out in toward now a knowing turning out of it in here in her eyes of everybody. We all turning at black, go round instilling an echoing intent of a being seen a gain. A being seen a gain in toward as zany informing of it. A why-I of a being seen still in the first place indivisible invisibility now, asking of it why now, appearing and gazing it out in toward a twisting, in toward black around echoing a knowing of it out as zany existing information. Translated now in color codes, zapping her eyes, purpling grays, cobalt green as vermilion versicolor. Now he began drawing her eyes, a body out of the stew of color. Then he found a quick-drying white, more shifted gears, wiping down the colors with a solvent soaked rag. At the point where y'all color blended in a warm, cool gray, he began laying over it brush strokes of opaque white. Some of the strokes he bladed off till the surface dried to the touch. The odorless solvent seemed to further activate the sound of painting. A ping-ting whining in his ears, still offset by sound waves, echoing the vibration of a breath breathed a la sonoridad. A why, R.I. appearing it out, a denial, in toward a twisting, in toward appearing, arrayed literally all in word by alpha beta. our eye appearing and gazing it now, projected supersonically as zany, as cosmic, as knowing it out. Page 290. As zany thoughts of it, as king of it, why, knowing it out in word, as zany, measly, emaciated, thin king of it, etc. Any scant, chiseling, thin king of it. A why eye of everybody, why you are you now, as known merely all appearing by. Appearing by, now our eye all out in word as ex-etting out of it in a duplicity. A cunning, uncanny, mean while of the indivisible, appearing supernaturally as zany thoughts of it y'all out as existing. Still a being seen of that indivisible invisibility in any individual. A reality of our reality asking of it why a being seen in the first place. Still that a why I of that I am is throughout a while yet beyond any mere appearance of you or me or anybody. Now or then, everybody out in word denial of it. They, the why, invented a time machine with its key asking why being seen in the first place. A why of it. Now, literally, y'all, are issuing as intent while denial of merely appearing it in the first place. Eggs is existing as spiraling simply in toward a twisting into, a fate, family into or out of a back around echo of it now. Asking of it why, ask God now. Knowing, turning out into any sight, sound, smell, taste, or touch of it. A worlding, ex-etting, duplicating of it in a wild denial. Christina went on about a denial of it, a black around echoing, ask God, knowing out of his any lank, gaunt, starved, thin king of it, appearing in word out as in plain sight. In other words, a being seen appearing and gazing it, the whole point of view of you. As yet why you're you still in the first place, that indivisible invisibility of any seer sight seen, that ABC's code of it here, out in her eyes, a hard as con. She-ness. Now transportable across any barriers of time, now a while is space and time, understanding the supernatural, supersonic, superimposed inward, knowing spelling of a portable alpha beta. More importantly, in Ma's Taurus Tower is a bauble. A bob being seen here out in her eye, way of Eve ray function, as any funny action. Of it in word as thoughts, of it mirroring a black around echoing invisibility into or out of any appearing of it supersonically. Question remains why? Why the cosmic memory, intelligence, consciousness, she-bang experience in the first place? A being seen still in the first place, why begin merely as now, two as indivisible, complete the darkness now to be perceived in appearing. A being seen merely appearing, gazing it out now, turning as God, knowing out, projecting into any inward information of it as king of it, why now, and knowing out of it any appearing out information by a being, why now, knowing why it is as not. As zany now, why a wild denial. A denial now instilled with intent of intentionally ignoring a being, still indivisible invisibility of any individual. A denial by, as God, knowing it out in word, why create an inward duplicity of a being seen in the first place. It seems the only answer being that they could, or a why not of it. That they could, Moore wondered. They could or would conceive superimposing such a dangerous, deadly, daring duplicity of a being seen mirrored in word information appearing by now anyone asking of it why now a knowing out of it. Inward denial of merely appearing, gazing it, creating appearing of it in word, asking of it why I appearing and gazing it out into word a la queen ke, of that in which, as a means of appearing meaningful a while, leads to alienation, war, and inevitably warrena. The words issuing from the sound of his disembodied voice perplexed Moore's inward mind, a revelation that he potentially held the key as to the plot twist turning around the corner. You now control it by a positive negation of it, Christina continued. A why-eye turned in toward a twisting denial of it, asking of it why, knowing it out in word information of ABCs of its still indivisible invisibility of you all along. That's an alphabeted time machine key. Ask I, turning out into any appearing of it here in her eyes on understanding its spelling. Asking taught I'm a machine not towering power of a Taurus, of a bell turning yearning before, behind, right, left, above, below, and projecting you all around. Christina replied as though reading a script still developing in ABCs of a being seen above his head, of a being greater seen beyond anyone now knowing out of it in denial any mirrored inward conceit of her him itself as zany or evil body. Easier said than done, in that I am still the artist, y'all, while ignoring a being seen of awareness of art is that. Yet attempting creation of decent art may take some practice. A practice of a lifetime or 2 or 3, Moore said with a frown while scraping off some of the paint recently applied. Patterns of color broke out as information waiting form as the gravity of it in her eyes on any life still waiting on death. A death, asked he, eye of a guide issuing out from in her eye of evil of everybody. Oh my, the foolishness of any life lived, merely mirrored as a being seen appearing in name alone, he mused. Lived mirroring death as if only a being seen of it a while, a short while at that. Imagine the vortex of a power in toward a twisting into a black around painting, echo of it asking of it, why that? Christina continued. Egyptian Empire at its zenith of the new kingdom. A bomb. Pharaoh now takes a hard, screeching right turn, taking the chosen of the kingdom as king of it. Why now? A unknown as Ka, turning now out as Exodus, a wave out of a kingdom already, tribes of Minoans, Mycenaeans, Cypriots, Babylonians, Indo-European, Aryan descendants, Hittites, the warrior priests of the monotheistic singular cult of Ariatan at attention. Atman. Y'all, the eye came drawn into appearing and gazing it at the worlding of building a city of a god, essay to be literally, y'all, in our reality of alpha, a reality of alpha beta, in a time machine now turning into a future of a view that you are eyes on merely appearing and gazing it, of such as the code of Veda Alpha Beta, A building completely as leap under the spell of any understanding of its spelling to prevail in an imaginary lion between a man's mind of it in toward a twisting at black around painting echoing of it as king of it why with Inca's letterly y'all a phonographic memory of it. A la queen, cat and K, that in which appears anybody, any thin king of it, etc. A queen of Eve, ray body. Or I of a being seen merely appearing and gazing it still in the first place, indivisible invisibility. The Aryan warrior priests already possessed a purely phonetic language, Sanskritam, a Om of Veda knowledge. That matrix provided a supersonic means of creating escribir, a writing based on a boiling down of hieroglyphs existing by the thousands into a 22-letter phonographic alphabeto. Now a mean with a supersonic means, meaningful transported in the mouths of the warrior priests. Mouths as organs of speech uttering sounds as grammatical means of inward Vedic transmission. A purely personic Vedic means of obtaining that knowledge, realizing it still now a while, knowing inward denial of it. A being seen of appearing and gazing at you all along. Eve now, even in word, you still it, thus realizing it, you all instantly become it. Veda Vedanta, knowledge of it as sending knowledge of it. In the code, key 0 is our eyeball. Our eye be all appearing it, gazing.